Okay. Oh, that's sorry. Camera looks weird. Give me 1 sec. Alright. We are officially good to go. Alright, glad audio is working and everything. And I'm gonna turn on music just slightly. Alright. You might hear ads during music. I do apologize. YouTube's I'm not allowed to block ads anymore on YouTube, but it is what it is. Welcome to everybody. Saturday stream. A day before, obviously, Game 7 the NBA Finals, which I think that a lot of us did not expect us to be in this moment, but we got a Game 7, man. So, very excited for tomorrow to see who's going to win the finals tomorrow. First Game 7 since 2016 in the NBA Finals, so I'm always loving to see another Game 7 in the NBA Finals. It's been almost a decade here, so I'm glad that we're getting it. And we're going to talk about that in this stream first and foremost. So we're going to talk about what the Pacers did differently in that Game 6 against OKC. Did a phenomenal job. Rick Carlisle is just an absolute mastermind. It's him and his coaches, which, yes, I'm aware Jim Boylan's on that staff, but that overall, the entire coaching staff did a great job for the Pacers. So got to give a big shout out to them. Halliburton obviously looked really good, so we'll talk about that. I don't know why it's so loud. Sorry about that. The music should not be that loud. I'm putting it down. And then we'll preview then into Game 7 and talk about what we need to specifically look for both squads, because Game 7s are different. Obviously, you know, one random role player could basically ruin a season for you. So be prepared for anything. Honestly, if you're either team, don't just be preparing for the stars and the main guys. You got to prepare also for the role players too. And obviously, we've seen this Pacers squad. They have a ton of role players that could just step up randomly. So you got to prepare for everything. So be prepared for both squads. After that, I do want to go into a little bit of some potential trade talks with the Bulls. There's a lot of things being thrown around right now, including some Blazers fans are coming in just randomly making some trades. So we'll talk about that trade that's been circulating NBA Twitter. Any other trade ideas? I do want to hear from you guys, so let me know. If you have any trade ideas, we could talk about it. After that, though, we'll see how long the stream goes for. But I do then want to just kind of basically raid myself into the Twitch channel. I do want to go ahead and do a Twitch stream right after this stream. So if you guys could follow me along to the Twitch channel after the stream ends, that'd be fantastic. If not, it's all good. I think what we're gonna do, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna open up a Pokemon pack. So I want to go ahead and do that first things there. And then, unfortunately, I don't have everything set up just yet for Valorant, but I do still have my NBA 2K13 stuff set up. So I want to just kind of go ahead and just play a game on there and talk to you guys while I play. So that's the plan for today. Obviously, we'll just kind of go with the flow. I know that right now in the political world, things are on fire. So, you know, trying to just get away from all that for the time being. And let's just talk some basketball. And I'm happy to be talking basketball. First and foremost, what's up, Darius? Why don't Joe put a time clock in the practice facility, and that's why they're playing so hard? Yeah, I guess maybe a punch in clock, because, yeah, who knows, man. Let's see what's going on, Woodage. Anything happen in Game 7? This is a time for SGA to show why he's MVP. I mean, obviously, yeah. Now, here's the thing. I won't lie. Shea's been fantastic in this series. The numbers have been astounding for him. Has he... I would say probably this last game was probably his worst game, right? I mean, he still... What did he get? He still got 21 in a, you know, shorter overall outing, right? Where you don't play as many minutes because you're getting blown out. But this was by far his worst performance. He showed us why he was the MVP in Game 4, though, right? Game 4, he hit some massive shots and was basically willing the Thunder to that victory. Then obviously in Game 5, you know, the entire Thunder team just brought it. So, I mean, I do agree that Shai does need to show why he's the MVP and obviously just show up. My biggest thing, though, right now for the Thunder is that I am very concerned about everyone else right now. Everybody else on that team, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, like Isaiah Hartenstein has been a starter for most of the season, right? Alex Caruso in a sense, but honestly, I kind of feel the best about him in terms of a role player guy. Like these guys, bro, they're not helping Shai out. I know a lot of people were talking about Shai not really having that many assists, and he has it in this series. Now it's kind of by design by the Pacers, especially in Game 6. That was by design by the Pacers. But you know, if in all honesty, when I was watching that game, I think Shai should have at least had 5 assists in this one. The problem is that no one's knocking down their shots. And the biggest thing I think that we have witnessed from that Game 6, but also just kind of as this series has gone on, the Thunder have a weakness, and the weakness is the math problem that they have right now. Shai, while he's incredible, and I don't necessarily think this is not his fault, but he doesn't really shoot a lot of threes, right? Now, what he does do is he makes up for it because he shoots an insane percentage overall from the field. He gets to the free throw line a lot, and then he gets into the paint consistently, and he's one of the best, you know, finishing guards in the league, right? So you don't need to take a lot of threes if you're able to go and do that. The thing is, though, is that the Pacers have done a really good job, especially in Game 6, where they decide to sag off of him and were basically just kind of telling him, like, if you take a mid-range shot, hey, we can live with it. We know you're not going to take the three-point shot, really, though, so we're just going to kind of not really guard you there. But when you drive, it's going to be a hard double, right? It's going to be a hard double by the Pacers. So Shai wasn't really able to get to the paint. Now, the way that he can get to the paint, though, right, he can, if his teammates can knock down some three-point shots, especially guys named Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams, then that's all going to open up for him, right? Because, you know, if you come in double on Shai, then someone's open, right? The problem is that neither Chet Holmgren or Jalen Williams are necessarily, you know, high-volume three-point shooters. Especially J-Dub, who is very heavily reliant on the mid-range for himself, and that's a problem because that means that your 2 best stars right now, they're kind of heavily reliant on the mid-range shot if they can't get to the paint. And the Pacers right now, they completely changed their defense in Game 6, and they basically said, we dare you to beat us from the perimeter. Like, any perimeter shot, whether it's a three-point shot, whether it's a mid-range shot, we are willing to just live and die by you shooting a mid-range or a three-point shot. If you happen to make it, so be it, but we don't think you're going to take enough, and if you do take some and make some, well, you're not going to get into the paint all night. So you have to make all your perimeter shots. That's what the Pacers did, right? And I heavily respect it because I think it's a fantastic adjustment when your season's on the line and you completely change your defense in a Game 6, right? Elimination game, and you're like, hey, we're going to completely change the defense. This is what we're going to run, and it worked to perfection. Obviously now OKC's aware of it, but this got you to now Game 7, so now you have a chance to win it. So to me, it's going to come down to, especially for Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren right now, Shai's going to be Shai. Even this game, I know he had 8 turnovers and it wasn't amazing, but like Shai's still going to get enough points, at least in my opinion, where it's going to be okay. Like, we don't have to really worry about him. But J-Dub, like, I know you had 40 points in Game 5, but I mean, I need you to show up in this one desperately. Chet Holmgren is shooting under 40% in this series. This has been a very, very poor showing from him. I know that a lot of people have been talking about Holmgren, and like there's definitely a lot of moments, so especially in this series, where it's just like, what does he do? Now there have been some moments of brilliance from him, but boy oh boy, man, I'm really concerned right now for the Thunder if like these 2 main guys or 2 other guys to your MVP, they're not three-point shooters necessarily as like their strengths. Chet really can't seem to buy a bucket. He missed a dunk in the last game. It's not looking great, and that means that it's more and more and more on Shai's shoulders then. right? And that's concerning. So I'm heavily interested to see what the plan is. Aaron Wiggins might need to just absolutely take off like he's done in games 2 and 5. So that would really help. But Thunder have their work cut out for them suddenly. And I know it's a home game, so the role players should play better. But it's going to be a big test. Because I think the Pacers might have found the formula, honestly. Is Ace Bailey going to fall in the draft? Heard he's not doing workouts for teams. So that is footage. That is actually a big rumor right now that Ace Bailey could fall. At the end of the day, though, it is just a crapshoot. Like, we don't really know. What we have gotten confirmed, though, is that he has canceled his workout with the 76ers. So, obviously, the 3rd overall pick was the 76ers. So, we got that he canceled that workout from Shams. He then also did not work out for the Utah Jazz, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, I don't blame him for that, necessarily. Now, the thing is where... Like, if you're wondering why this is happening, like, why is Ace Bailey just suddenly, like, just, you know, either canceling or denying workouts from teams? Whenever I hear that, that typically tells me that they have a promise from some team. So, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but the one team that we still haven't heard anything from when it comes to Ace Bailey is Charlotte. And, I mean, maybe I'm wrong here, but... Assuming that the top 3 is going to be Flag, Harper, and then what we're hearing recently is that it's going to be Edgecombe at 3, which that's fine. 76ers could use him. Then it leaves Charlotte at 4, right? And that's kind of one of those teams where we just haven't gotten any info. So, again, correct me if I'm wrong here, but if I had to make a guess... if a player is ever canceling their workouts or not working out for certain teams, it typically means they have a promise. And that, to me, for what I at least just kind of me putting together the pieces, is that I think Bailey has a promise from Charlotte. I could be wrong, right? I'm not here to say that I know everything or I have the inside info, but I genuinely could be wrong here. That Bailey just could have a promise from Charlotte, and that's the reason why he's just like, yeah, I'm not going to work out for any of these teams. So, who knows? I could be wrong about this, but let's just put it this way. I know that a lot of Bulls fans have talked about, like, hey, should the Bulls potentially trade up if, like, Bailey falls out of the top 4? And I know, you know, Dave with CHGO is like, yeah, I think this is an absolutely great idea. I personally have been against that because I think trading up for a guy like Ace Bailey is just not worth it. Like, he doesn't have the upside, at least from what I've seen so far, to be worth trading a future first-round pick and, like, moving up a lot of spots and losing more assets just to get him. If Bailey happens for some damn reason, if he somehow falls to 12, one, I'm definitely concerned about ever taking him because I feel like that'd be a terrible decision. If he falls to 12, that means something's up. But if he falls to 12, then I consider probably taking it. Like, I wouldn't be upset at all if the Bulls did take him at 12. But in terms of moving up, I am very concerned about that. That sort of decision to me is problematic. I'd be very much cautious about moving up personally, but that's just me at the end of the day. So yeah, he could fall here. But I think at some point, especially once you get past the top 6, I feel like some team would just be like, okay, we're just gonna snag him here instead, right? We're not gonna go and just take, like, we're not gonna just pass on Bailey here because, like, we were projecting to probably be top 5 anyway, and then all of a sudden he's at like 7 or 8. Like, one of those teams is probably gonna just take him. But in terms of, like, the Bulls trading up for him, like, I don't think that's necessarily a smart idea. I have a feeling Cedric Howard's gonna be the pick. Oh my god, I am also fearful of that. I don't like it. I know Coward can play. The problem is just that he's just one of the oldest guys in this draft. So, personally, it's not something I want to look for. Part of me is stream focused because I want to see Chris get another ring. Yeah, I understand that. I'm just all on this Pacers, like, they're the chosen ones train. Like, I want to see the Pacers pull this off somehow, but we'll see. Name at Calix sounds perfect for the Bulls front office. We'll talk about that in a second here. The whole Chicago Sports Network podcast getting pulled because clearly AK got his feelings hurt or something, or didn't like what KC released to the public. That's a horrible look, man. we'll definitely talk about that. A lot of shots SGA takes aren't easy. He just makes them look easy. Oh, for sure. I mean, SGA makes a lot of tough shots look easy, but he's also just incredibly good at just getting to the rim. The Pacers, though, just done a really good job of preventing as much rim pressure from him, which then makes him resort to the mid-range. And it's just, if you're taking a bunch of mid-range shots as your shots, bro, like, I can live with you taking the mid-range shots. So, like, just a look here, like, if you're wondering of how much, like, Shea is just heavily relying on his mid-range shot right now. Like, these shots here, bro, like, the Pacers are completely fine if he takes his shots right now, right? Like, anything that is not at the cup, like, go ahead, take it. Like, they're fine. So that to me is just like, oh boy, like Shea has to continue being himself. Like, he's the MVP for a reason, so like he needs to continue attacking the paint, and then obviously, you know, if you can't get there, then take the mid-range shot and make most of them. Okay, but it's then the bigger problem of like, okay, what is Jalen Williams doing, right? And this guy also, in a sense, kind of takes too many mid-range shots. He got some looks in the paint, but it's not enough, and he didn't hit any threes. Chet Holmgren, he doesn't take many threes, right? He took a couple and he missed a few, but he's just missing a lot of shots. So I just kind of worry about the space. Pacers are doing a hell of a job. So yeah, Shea's got to continue being Shea. Wiggins and Wallace will step up, at least I hope. I think that has to be the game plan, right? I honestly think that it's gonna come down to Caruso. It's gonna come down to Wiggins. Like, these guys have to hit their threes, because it's the only way Shea's gonna get some of the pressure off of him. Because, like, if you guys didn't notice, also Siakam was then put on J-Dub this in Game 6, because what was happening a lot in Game 5, but also part of Game 4, was that Aaron Nesmith has been the main defender on J-Dub, right? But Nembhard has been by far the best defender in SGA. So what the Thunder started to do, though, especially down the stretch, was that they would have J-Dub come over to set a screen for SGA, and they get switch, and you would see the Nembhard on SGA, and for some reason SGA can take Nembhard much easier. Even though Nembhard's a good defender, SGA was just able to take Nembhard a lot easier, especially in the ISO situations. But what the Pacers did in Game 6 is that they put Siakam on J-Dub. So, and if they tried to run that pick and roll between SGA and J-Dub, then you're putting Siakam on SGA. And Siakam, so far this series, has done a much better job on SGA, so it nullifies that sort of pick and roll idea. And it worked out really well. Obviously, then you're, like, especially with the big lineup out there, you are kind of risking it a little bit of like, hey, could Chet just like take Aaron Nesmith off the dribble consistently? But the thing is that Chet has been awful this series, so they're just like playing the numbers, right? If Chet's gonna shoot under 40%, then you go and just let Chet try to take the guy down low. He's probably not gonna take advantage. So that's the game plan. It's done well. What's going on, Viper Strike? I want to see Pacers win because I care about conference allegiance, says the last man in the world that cares about that. That's very funny of why I want the Pacers to win. I am not one of those people of like, oh, I want the Pacers to win because the Eastern Conference. But I can understand your thought process at least. Eastern Conference is looked at as a little brother sometimes, so maybe that's kind of what you're thinking. But I don't blame you. I personally know, I'm just like, hey, this Pacers run's fantastic. It would be awesome if someone pull this off. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Because that's some mid-range shots. But yeah, bro. Like, it's very funny to kind of talk about it because obviously these two teams are not the same, because Oklahoma City, they were by far one of the best teams on the defensive end, or one of the best defensive teams in the history of the league. And they also then get to the free throw line at an astounding rate, right? But it does kind of sound similar to the DeMar DeRozan-led Bulls, right? Where you just have this math problem where your main ball handler doesn't take a lot of threes, and then, you know, your secondary guy, he can take the threes, but also doesn't take that many threes because he's off ball more. And then your third guy is having a very bad shooting season in terms of being the big man, in Vucevic, and Vuce, you know, couldn't buy a shot in the first year of that mid three, right? Chet Holmgren in this finals, like, he is shooting under 40% as a center. So, or a big man, I should say. He's playing some four, but that's kind of where I'm just like, holy shit, like, the math problem is starting to really show here. And so again, it's like it comes down to these other guys. Like these other guys for the Thunder have to hit some shots from the perimeter. Because it's the only way. If the Pacers just come out and they hit like 10 threes in the first half or something, like the math problem is too high, because your main guys and J-Dub and SGA, they're more mid-range centric. Obviously SGA can get to the paint at will and then hit the free throws, but he's got to take some threes as well here just to kind of keep the defense honest. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty astounding thing to look at. That all of a sudden now we're talking about this Thunder team having like a severe weakness that wasn't really looked at all season long. So, like, here's the issue. So, points in the paint, you see the big difference. Now, the reason why the Pacers won this game, obviously, is the three-point shot. The three-point shot was a major difference, 15 threes to 8. Now, I mean, these 8 are even including Jalen Williams hitting 2, like the other Jalen Williams hitting 2 at the end of the game when the game was over. Like, this doesn't even count. But 15 to 8, obviously, just doing the math, it's a pretty massive difference in terms of three-point shots. Pacers didn't have that many points in the paint, right? They only scored 30 points in the paint. But if you're the Thunder and you see, okay, the Pacers have 30 points in the paint, but we don't have the three-point shot, we at least need to get to 50 points in the paint. And the Pacers are like, no, you're not going to get that. Also for the Thunder, where they would, take away that sort of margin of difference of the three-point shot, like they would usually get on the fast break, and the Pacers have more fast break points than them in this game. And so all of a sudden you're looking at this and you're just like, holy crap, the Thunder might have a math issue here. And then the free throws, which they usually typically dominate, it was 21 to 17 made. Like that's not a big enough difference. So there's a serious math issue if these other guys can't hit some shots here. If the role players come out, hit some threes, the math issue goes away. Because then obviously SG's got some more space, but you got some threes from the role guys to kind of even things out. And if it's a little more even, then SGA is the best player in this series. But if these other guys can't hit some threes here and help out SGA, then the math issue is going to be very much on display. So I'll be interested. Pacers were really good in the second half of the year, bro. I mean, I pulled up this tweet in last stream, but I think since January. Why am I logged out? What the fudge? Why? Sorry, hold on. Why the hell am I logged out? I should not be logged out on Twitter, and suddenly I'm logged out on Twitter. Sorry, hold on. What? There we go. Sorry, that was, I don't know why I'm logged out on Twitter, but okay, here we go. This tweet to show you Viper Strike. I mean, since January 1st, these are the Pacers, and this was tweeted June 12th. Okay, since January 1st, the Pacers are 48 and 19. Okay, that's a 60-win pace. They're 14 and 5 in the playoffs at that current moment in time. Right now, both teams coming into tomorrow's game, I think they're both 15 and 7 now. So still, obviously, for the Pacers, it's still pretty good. Haven't lost consecutive games in over 3 months until obviously games 4 and 5. Yet to trail in the series until obviously game 5, and now we're tied. 2-1 against a team that won 29-1 against the East. Maybe they belong, right? I mean, this Pacers squad since January 1st has been by far one of the best teams in the league. And I obviously I just didn't care enough because I wasn't paying good enough attention to them. But they've been by far one of the best teams in the league. And it was my hate early on in the year where I was like concerned about them heavily. So that's probably the reason why I was not paying that much attention to them. But like these guys have been insane. So yeah, this Pacers squad has done phenomenal. And they might have a chance, bro, to do the unthinkable where they're like the severe underdog in this series, and they might do it. They were like fourth in defense, and first when Hallie wasn't playing. I looked this up when we beat him at the end of the year. Oh, actually, that's crazy. Yeah, it's just been chat. I feel like him shooting the beta has been the biggest swing factor how they are seen. I mean, it really is a problem if you're 7-footer that is supposed to kind of do everything, right? Like your 7-footer is supposed to be able to shoot the 3-point shot, be able to put the ball on the floor by himself and score, and then also take advantage of mismatches. He has not done that. And then defensively, like he's had some moments defensively, but it's not anything to the level of impact that we were like, oh yeah, like Chet Holmgren did a fantastic job defensively that game or whatever. Like he had a really nice game too, but that was it. Like he hasn't really done anything else. Again, he missed a dunk, and he missed an alley-oop dunk in game 6, and like at that moment, it just looks like it's getting to him now. So I am definitely concerned. He has to give some sort of level of consistency. I don't care what it is, whether it's just like he hits all of his 2s or, you know, you hit a 3 here and there in game 7, but he has to give something just to take the pressure off SGA. Be a role threat. Like, be a fantastic, like, in the fast break opportunities, because you're a 7'1" guy that can run the floor well, but yet you're just basically nothing in transition in this series. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So I'm very much like, he's young. Obviously, he still needs time because he's missed some. He's missed some time overall. Due to injuries, but he's gotta show up, man, and really give something here. SJ needs his help. Any idea why Isaiah Joe has been playing? Has he really been that bad? So Isaiah Joe in this series has not been bad by any means. In terms of the offensive end, the problem for Isaiah Joe is that when you put him out there defensively, the Pacers just exploit him. He's like the smallest guy on the floor, and the Pacers can just go right at him. Like, you know, Halliburton or Siakam or even like guys like Benedict Mathurin will go at him. So he's a hard guy to kind of hide. And the Pacers, because they're kind of like an all-around team, like anybody can kind of just take a shot. He's kind of really hard to hide on this against this Pacers team. So that's why Isaiah Joe hasn't played that much. Now, granted, if I was personally Dagnall, I would want him out there just because I know he's going to give the reliable 3-point shooting. And he, even like in game 1, for example, like he barely played in game 1, but he hit his 2 threes, but he played like only like 8 minutes or something like that, or like 6 minutes. I don't remember what it was, but he hit 2 threes, and I'm like, hey, that's pretty impactful. So I think if you're the Thunder, you have a good enough defense to try to hide him enough, I should say, that you need him out there. Like, just having a guy out there that can just knock down a 3-point shot like that, is very, very helpful. So I would personally put him playing if I was Dagnall. I do think Dagnall, I won't lie, I think he's in his head in this series a little bit. He's made some pretty interesting decisions throughout the series. The Casey Wallace decision obviously has not gone well in the game, in like game 1 and 2, right? Or even, what was it, like through game 3. The Casey Wallace starting decision made no sense overall, and obviously the results show for it. But you know, you're not really playing Isaiah Hartenstein that many minutes in this series, but he's been by far clearly better than Chet Holmgren. So I don't know why Hartenstein's not getting more minutes. But then even a guy like Isaiah Joe, I feel like needs to have more minutes, because it's not like your other role players are really doing anything besides Caruso. So I think there could be much better decisions by Dagnall so far. Yeah, that's unfortunate because Joe is the best shooter. I think, but Wallace and Williams are better defensively for sure. Yeah, those guys are by far better defensively, but I think I need Isaiah Joe out there. Also regarding Chet, he looks over a match against Miles Turner at times. It's very funny though, because Miles Turner's had an awful series. But I would also agree with that statement. Like, it seems like Holmgren doesn't know what to do against Turner, and that's concerning, because it's like, I understand Turner's a very good shot blocker, but I feel like a guy like Holmgren needs to have some sort of advantage over him. But he hasn't. And like, neither have played well. Like, Turner went 1 for 9 in this game, and he had 2 blocks, but like, this wasn't this is another bad game from him, but it didn't matter. So honestly though, if I had to pick who's been more impactful, I would say Turner still, because game 3, Turner had an incredible like last 3 minutes of that game and was very, very important. So yeah, there's both these guys are struggling offensively, but I think Turner's been better defensively. Now, I think Turner's rebounding's been awful, but Holmgren hasn't really necessarily done anything either. So it's been a very interesting thing to look at when it comes to these interior guys. Don't actually step up for sure. They do, yeah. So I mean, obviously Caruso's been. I know he didn't score in this one, but like he's been kind of like the most consistent guy in terms of the role players. So I don't know, man. I feel like if I was personally taking out, I'm starting Caruso next game or game 7. So I just don't. I don't even. Sorry, hold on. Sorry. YouTube's been bugging on me, and I don't know what's happening. I'm trying to just. Dear Lord, hold on. I have a playlist that's DMCA free, and it keeps switching music to music I don't know. So give me 1 second. Sorry, I don't want to get copyright strike suddenly just in the middle of this. But yeah, I personally, if I was Digno, I'm starting Caruso next game, and I try to run this double big to see if it works out. If it doesn't, then just bench Holmgren if he's not playing well. Hopefully Aaron Wiggins is going to show up and, you know, bring his magic like he did in games 2 and 5 for the Thunder, but I don't know, man. Game 7's weird. I wonder, is the philosophy of how the team is put together just doesn't lend itself to hiding bad defenders? It probably doesn't. Like, they are genuinely probably the team that is most on the string, so, like, everybody plays a part in their defense. So if you're having a bad defender out there, then it kind of ruins that. So yeah, I do think if you put Isaiah Joe out there, you'll see them be less aggressive, because they're not going to be as trustworthy about, you know, if they go for a gamble on a steal and they don't get it, like they don't necessarily trust the other guys behind them to make up for it. So yeah, I do think that's probably part of the reason why Joe hasn't gotten more minutes. But it just, to me, in this sort of series right now for the Thunder, when I look at it, like, you're getting completely outscored at the 3-point line at this moment in time. SGA needs space and he's not getting it. So, you know, I think I need to help my MVP a little bit at the time. They just have 8 guys averaging double figures in points per game in these finals. That's insane, bro. It's genuinely insane that we see that. I mean, I'm gonna correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm gonna guess Mathurin is one of those guys, right? Like, he has to be, right? I'm trying to do the math quickly in my head. Nine, 658. Yeah, I mean, he is one of those guys. So it is kind of crazy. Like, Mathurin hasn't necessarily been great in the past 3 games, especially game 4 and 5. But like games 2 and 3, like he actually was like pretty impactful, especially game 3. So yeah, it's genuinely insane that you just have a guy like this that just can go off for 20. That's the Pacers, honestly. TJ McConnell's been fantastic. He has genuinely been everything for the Pacers in games 5 and 6 here. I know they lost game 5, but like he was the big reason why they even came back and got back into the game in game 5. So suddenly now the Thunder have to worry about him and his little mid-range shot, his little 10-footer fadeaway that he consistently does in the paint. Like it's very, very effective right now because the Thunder are so worried about the rest of the team that now all of a sudden you got TJ McConnell who's playing at 110% just to come on down and shoot a little mid-range shot over their smaller defenders, I guess. Like, obviously not smaller than him, but just like there's not necessarily a guy out there that's like going to be towering over him, because Thunder play, like, the perimeter guys are like really, really small overall, or smaller I should say. So yeah, I mean, McConnell's just come in and his speed and energy have just made a major impact. Obi Toppin, after like was a pretty, like, you know, he had a really bad start to like game 1, but he's come in and been fantastic. Like he's even playing a lot of minutes where they just have Siakam as a center and he's the power forward. Like it's been great, man. I can't believe this Pacers team is doing it, but I should be believing it. I want them to see them pull it off here. He's at 10.5. Pacers role players have been more aggressive offensively than the Thunder. I mean, obviously, yes, but if you also just look, though, at the role players for the Thunder, like, tell me out of all the other guys not named SGA, J-Dub, and Holmgren, like, go ahead and tell me who's going to create their own shot off the dribble out of any of these guys, right? Like, it just comes down to skill set, where McConnell is able to actually run the pick and roll or potentially just, you know, go and create a bucket for himself. Like, same thing with Mathurin, right? Mathurin's able to potentially, it's not consistent, but he's a guy that can potentially just create his own shot off the dribble. Obi Toppin is like one of the best players in transition and probably the most athletic out of all players on the bench for both teams, right? So when you just kind of think about that, and then you look at the Thunder, and you're just like, well, Caruso's not making, he's not going to create his own shot off the dribble. Aaron Wiggins, he's had 2 very impactful games, but it's mostly just catch and shoot threes if he does have those games. Kenrich Williams never dribbles. Isaiah Job also doesn't really dribble, but he's a good 3-point shooter for them. And then Cason Wallace is like kind of, but like he has not been effective at all. So Lou Dort also is cooled off. So it's kind of just, it just shows how much is on SGA's shoulders to create, you know, be the offense, create the shots, be the playmaking, and also then put up 30 a night on consistent shooting. Like, that's all him, and then J-Dub's his sidekick, and then Holmgren's supposed to be the third guy, but he hasn't done anything, really. So, it's a lot on those 2 guys and J-Dub and SGA's shoulders to be the playmakers for the entire team. And hell, they've done a hell of a job throughout the entire season and on their way to getting to the finals. So, I'm not saying that this formula is bad. I'm just saying that this is the formula that has been very effective, but the Pacers all of a sudden now, they seem pretty locked in on it. So it's going to require others to come and step up here because these guys can't do it all. They did it all basically in Game 4 where they stole that victory in Indiana. But even then, Caruso had like 22 points in that game. So it's like someone needs to step up for these guys, because the assist numbers, bro, I mean, this team had 14 assists, and that's including garbage time. Like, this team, they're getting some open looks, but their role players aren't knocking them down enough right now. And the Pacers are going to continue selling out on that. If your role players aren't going to knock it down, and we're just going to continue, you know, pressuring you guys to take some tough shots, like, you know, you pick your poison here. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it is a Game 7, right? Game 7's weird. It is the most weird situation ever because we have seen many role players, you know, completely end a season for another squad. Like, famously known Kelly Olynyk, Game 7 in Boston against the Washington Wizards. Like, there have been many times where a role player in a Game 7 situation really comes up huge. So, who's that going to be? If you're going to choose a role player right now, it's probably from the Pacers, right? Whether it's McConnell, whether it's Shepard, whether it's Mathurin, Toppin, maybe it's Nembhard or Neesmith has his like incredible 3-point shooting game that we've been kind of waiting to see, right? But for the Thunder, though, man, this has been the main guy that has been like the one guy that can like pop out for a game. This has been your most consistent guy in terms of role players. But anybody else right now, I'm like, bro, someone has to give me something. It hasn't been good. So someone else here, man, whether it's Dort finding 3-point shot again or Hardenstein plays like 30 minutes and goes off for like 20 and 10, it's got to come up somewhere, man. Role players play a humongous factor in Game 7. Thunder have the advantage because they're at home. For the role players tend to play better at home, but I don't know, man. This Pacers team, it just feels like their role players play better on the road sometimes. So who knows, man? I'm excited. I am very, very excited for this game. It sucks that people seem to not want to watch this series, but I have loved this series so far. I've loved the coaching adjustments. I've loved the game of chess between the adjustments. From game to game, it's been obviously a very close series. We're tied 3-3. We're seeing both teams play to their strengths, and then also, you know, not necessarily like we've seen them adjust to what's being thrown at them, right? And that's basketball. That's the game of chess, and it's awesome to watch. But unfortunately, it just feels like not enough people want to watch for whatever reason. So, all right. Game 7, though. Game 7 is going to be at 7 p.m. Central Time, so it's a little bit earlier. So it's not 7:30 like it's been for the other 6 games. So it's going to be 7 p.m. Central Time, so be ready. We're obviously in OKC here, so it's going to be a very, very loud arena. Paycom Center. I for some reason in my head, it's still just Chesapeake Bay, or whatever it was called. I don't remember what it was called. It was something Chesapeake. But Paycom Center is where we're at. Looking forward to it. Any other thoughts for this Game 7 here before we decide to move on? And I do want to talk about a few trades with you guys, and I want to get your thoughts on some of them. So, we will then also talk about the tweet that Doug Thonis tweeted out about the Chicago Sports Network taking down the podcast that was just most recently released by Casey Johnson in Chicago Sports Network, because it seemed like AK got his feelings hurt. All right. If we have no more thoughts, let's go ahead and talk about this tweet here that Doug Thonis tweeted out that's been getting a lot of attention. So, random question to you guys. I'm gonna guess that probably many of you did not listen to the podcast. I did not personally listen to this podcast that was released. But the By the Horns podcast, where Casey Johnson goes on, and it's run by Chicago Sports Network, which obviously we all know that the Reinsdorf's own, and they have a lot of control over it, which is the reason why I hate it a lot. Also, the Chicago Sports Network just suddenly getting rid of antenna was just ridiculous and stupid. The antenna, going to antenna in the first place and not getting a deal done with Xfinity was bad because the signal was absolute garbage, but you also, for some reason, couldn't get a deal with Xfinity. But then once you finally get a deal with Xfinity, you then decided to scrap the antenna completely. So now it leaves someone like me like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to watch Bulls games right now. I have plans, though, but it's just so stupid. Anyway, though, this was released. Okay, this was released yesterday. God, I'm mixing up my days. So, yesterday, Doug Thonis tweets this out. On June 19th, Casey Johnson went on the By the Horns podcast to give some thoughts on the AK extension that he said goes through the 27-28 season. So basically, we guessed 3-year extension. It's pretty much a 3-year extension for AK. He also then noted in this podcast that ownership believes that AK hit on his first roster build and that he's 1-for-1 in rebuild so far. So the DeRozan, DeRozan, Levine, Vucevic, Lonzo, Caruso team that was put together, the ownership apparently believes that was an absolute hit. Now, I understand some Bulls fans are very hell-bent on the fact that we were the 1 seed, and if Lonzo doesn't get injured, then we're fine. If you go back to that season and you go ahead and watch my streams for that year or my videos, I was pretty adamant that the team was not going to continue being the 1 seed. I said consistently that they're going to be the 4 to 6 seeds for the East. I also said between 44 to 46 wins, I think it was. I had to double check that exact number, but it was somewhere around there. But basically, like, I was kind of adamant, like, even though that we were the 1 seed at the time, I was not very convinced. I was very much like, hey, this is a really good start. We still need to build on it. We still have a ways to go. I would not consider us a contender. I think also either way, whether you believe that the 1 seed was actually true or not when it comes to this Bulls team, if it is true that Lonzo Ball was everything according to your theory, then that's a problem by AK. Like, you can't have a team that is solely reliant on Lonzo Ball being healthy for that to be the difference between a winning or a losing team. It just can't be the case. I'm sorry. That's just poor management by you as a front office. I understand Lonzo is getting paid $20 million a season, so when he is out, it does suck that $20 million is just basically down the drain every year. But I do think that there were ways to get past it, hence going into the tax. Obviously, the Rhinestones were never going to do such a thing, but there's ways to get through a major injury in your starting lineup to at least continue the team to be a good team. Not saying be a contender, I'm just saying to be a good team. And AK failed to do that. So, no matter what, if it is true what Casey did say in this podcast, that the ownership believes AK hit on his first roster build, that's a very bad sign, obviously, but it's not something that we should be shocked at whatsoever. The Rhinestones are absolutely fucking stupid. So, that's that. Now, when it comes to then the podcast getting pulled, apparently, Casey Johnson made a comment about AK getting so angry when the Bulls lost at home for some home losses that instead of him going to the United Center for every game, he then started to go to the Advocate Center just to watch games there or something. Now, I know this is Doug Thonis just kind of speculating here, but it's kind of just stupid in general that this podcast that was just released about a major move to the front office where we get word that, oh, hey, by the way, this front office that has been absolutely garbage just got extended, and we had no idea about it, and it most likely these extensions have been in for a long time. This just got announced, so it's a pretty big podcast, and a lot of people are gonna have to listen to this because it's major news. But because the Rhinestones also own the media company that releases this podcast, they said to take it down, and suddenly this podcast is just not available to us. And here we are. We are in a world where whatever is said apparently on the internet about this front office or about the ownership, and you have a guy that has been one of the best beat reporters for the Chicago Bulls in the past 2 decades covering this stuff, and he does a phenomenal job at his work. But because we have a stupid media company owned by the Reinsdorfs, they just get to pull it anytime they want to. If their feelings get hurt, they get to pull it. If AK is like, I hate what you said about me, they get to pull it. That's ridiculous. It is flat out stupid that this is allowed, but that's the world we're in. So I don't, this just basically just tells me though that I don't necessarily know what is going on when it comes to like how much the Bulls listen to social media or listen to public perception, but they very clearly have people. I don't know if it's AK himself or it's Michael Reinsdorf himself, but they very clearly have people like very much on guard about any sort of negative poll or like negative thing said about this stuff. Like they will do anything in their willpower to get it like turned away from the media and get it out of the public eye. Hence the reason why I was saying that like I genuinely don't understand why the Bulls don't announce their contract extensions. But I could probably make a pretty serious bet here that if the Bulls were winning and they decided to extend Billy Donovan, if they were an actual contending level team, then yeah, I think that the Bulls would happily announce that they would extend Billy Donovan, that they extended Billy Donovan. But because the Bulls are being garbage and the fan base is upset and they're coming after Reinsdorf and the front office, then whenever those guys get extended or if they decide to extend Billy, they're not going to announce shit. So it just shows you how much that this Bulls front office and Bulls team is trying to stay out of the eye of the public to avoid all the negativity, and not allow the negativity from the public to blow up. So it has been basically on content creators like myself or other journalists that don't work for the Chicago Sports Network, which is the reason why I continue to this day call Chicago Sports Network one of the dumbest things ever, and there are genuinely stupid idiots that work for them. Not Casey Johnson, who very clearly does a fantastic job, but there are people that run that whole media company and are absolute flat out idiots. I'm going to continue calling this company stupid. And I'm not afraid to say it. So just be aware of anything that is being said right now, because honestly, I'm gonna start doing this, but save it, because we cannot allow like BS like this to continue to happen, where, hey, a reporter just reports the facts, but it's facts that the front office or the ownership did not want to be released to the public. Therefore, they get to then pull the podcast from it. Like, that's insane. But the fact that the front office and ownership even cares is even more insane. I absolutely despise that, and it genuinely really irks me. But I'm gonna continue just harping on this, that like, hey, don't support these people. Like, genuinely, do not support Chicago Sports Network. I know we have to use it to watch the Bulls, but don't go and be like, yo, these people are great or whatever. No, it's insane. I'm not saying, obviously, like, to hate everyone that works for that. Again, Casey Johnson does a fantastic job. I think Kendall Gill and Jason Goff do a pretty decent job in the post-game, or pregame and post-game coverage. Like, I'm not like saying to go and attack these guys, but I'm just saying that you have to be aware that there's some pretty bad, like, just not very smart people that are currently in positions there. So it's very frustrating overall. AKME has been doing such a great rebuilding. This team losing in the first round of the play-ins are doing super duper great. Yep, good job, guys. At this point, I feel like we need a banner to UC for those first 35-ish games of the 21 season before Lonzo went down. I mean, bro, like, there are still Bulls fans still on that, and look, I appreciate that you love the Bulls and everything, but yeah, it's insane how many Bulls fans are still on it, and it seems like the front office is still on it. It's the only reason why they can be like, yeah, see, we do a fantastic job. It doesn't matter. Like, it reminds me how much when Garp Pax would talk about Derrick Rose getting injured, and it's like, hey, we're like 3 years past that. Like, I don't care about that Derrick Rose got injured. Okay, like, yeah, Rose got injured. We're aware, but this season right now, Rose did not get injured, and we need to continue moving forward. Because we were well aware that Rose already was injured. So let's move forward, guys. Like, it bothers the crap out of me that we're like going on nostalgia apparently. So yeah, it's bad. I see the Bulls team go 0-9, finish with the third best record in the East. The team would demolish AKME's best team he built in Chicago. Oh, for sure. Oh my God, 1,000,000%. It's also funny because it means AK is watching these podcasts to see how people talk about him. Well, again, like, I don't know if it's necessarily him or if he has like a team that is like, hey, we just listened to this podcast, this is what they said, like, you want us to pull it, and like, yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily about him, but it's either, or necessarily him listening, but it's either that he's listening or he has the team that is going out to listen for this or look for this sort of stuff, right? Like, that's what's happening. So that I can't stand that. I think it's absolute flat out ridiculous, but clearly this front office is, you know, they get so caught up in their feelings in some sort of way that it generally matters that the guy that has the phone number to the front office is releasing just info that should be released to the public, that, oh, we have to pull it. Like, what the hell is that, bro? We have seen many things in this league where, like, reporters get word of stuff and it's terrible things about people in the front office, but hey, nothing happens there. But if you tweet out one thing where it's like, oh, the fans won't like this and we're gonna want you to pull it, like, oh, you know, they just have the power apparently to do such a thing. I don't know what's worse, honestly, doing it himself or paying someone to do it for him. Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, it's honestly stupid as hell either way, but I think it's probably worse if he's doing it himself, because that means he's not actually focusing on trying to be a good, you know, president or vice president of basketball operations. But I hate the fact either way that you're paying somebody to listen. Like, it's just so bad either way. I don't care. You're either investing money or you're investing time into it, and it's so stupid. Speaking of him, was it ever revealed why the Bulls fired Peter Patton? I remember bringing somebody who spoke out against the front office. That's why. So we don't really know. Apparently Joe Coley, like, he kind of said in like his release about you know, the Bulls firing Peter Patton, that like, hey, just saying, when it comes to this front office, it seems like AK really does run the show here. And it's like, if you're not his yes man, like, he's really gonna give you a hard time. And so I don't necessarily know what that means. Like, we could just kind of infer things. I don't really know if we're ever gonna get the word about it, and I'm sure that there's like an NDA clause or something for Peter Patton to never speak about it. But our best guess is that he probably did something that the front office really didn't like, and AK is just like, yeah, you're out of here. So don't know what that means. Peter Patton does not have any sort of control in player personnel decisions. He's a shooting coach or a development coach, as his role was called. So he's not necessarily in charge of making decisions when it comes to who should we keep, who should we trade, anything like that. But what he could be in charge of is the development program for certain guys, like namely Patrick Williams. And if I had to guess, it's just that AK might have had some sort of like development plan for Patrick Williams, and then Peter Patton's like, no, I think he should instead focus on this, and then he just got the boot. That's just my speculation. I'm not reporting anything here, obviously, but either way, it's pretty damn stupid, and I hate the fact that Patton's gone. I know a lot of people were kind of downplaying it. I just like, hey, look, bro, development coaches, they get moved around all the time. That's fair. I understand that's a fact, but I do think Patton, at least for what we've seen, did a pretty good job last season, so I don't understand why we need to move on from him anyway. Like, if he did a bad job, then he did a bad job. We move on from him. But he did a good job, so if that's the case, then I feel like he deserves another shot. So I'm not entirely sure why Patton was fired, but I have my own speculation about it. So, I mean, sorry, Darius. Like, unless there has been some other info that has been released to us, but I don't think there has been. Correct me if I'm wrong, though. But either way, it looks pretty stupid by the front office. Like, you're talking about a guy that a lot of players seem to actually, like. They seem to talk pretty highly about him. Now, granted, that does not mean that he's doing a good job, right? I'm not, like, players can talk highly about people, and, that person that they're talking highly about doesn't necessarily do a great job with their, doesn't do a good job at doing their job. But at least from the results that we got last season, like, it does seem like he did a good job. And the fact that he connected with the players pretty well, that's something that just isn't easy to do. Like I always talk about coaching is like, yeah, there's the X's and O's, the analytical part, but there's also then the ability to get your message across well, and understand emotions, and working with a player to get the most out of them. Like there's also that part of coaching, and it's like it seemed like Patton did a good job with that part, and so maybe he wasn't great when it comes to the X's and O's, but if he's good at connecting with the players and getting the most out of them, can't really do anything about it. I got lucky with drafting Matas last year. I don't know if we'll get lucky again. I mean, honestly, bro, like Buzelis fell into our laps. So yeah, he definitely got lucky. I'm also with you, Woodage. Like, I am not feeling too confident about what we're gonna see here. Like, I'm very concerned right now that like Drake Powell is actually gonna be the pick here. I'll still root for the kid, but I'm not gonna be thrilled about it. So, look, if they end up actually drafting Newell here, which it does kind of seem like there's a high chance they do, then I'll be pretty satisfied. But I am definitely concerned that like it's gonna be like was it you or Darius? Like you mentioned Coward earlier. Like I'm definitely concerned that that's a possibility. I'm also very concerned that like we're gonna get like a random trade up to get like Demon. Like he's just gonna be scared that Demon is just suddenly like, oh, Demon fell to 10 or something, we're gonna trade up or something like that. I would lose my mind, but I am worried about it. Like this does feel like the draft where it's just like the Bulls just need to sit pat. Like unless BJ Edgecombe falls out of the top 3, like you just need to stand pat. And just pick whoever is best available on your board when you get to 12. But I mean, if Edgecombe does fall, then yeah, I can understand trading up for him. But like, I'm not trading up for Bailey. I'm not trading up for anybody else. Like, I would hate that. This is not the draft to do such a thing. But this would then be the most AK move where it's just like, okay, the plan is pretty simple here, but instead you made it more difficult because of your stupidity, because you really like a guy. So I'm not gonna be. I would not be shocked if he makes a pretty awful decision here. Her player's pretty pissed about it. He definitely did a good job with Giddey. Well, no, I think obviously he did a great job with Giddey, but I think he did a good job with Kobe. I feel like he did a good job with a lot of people, man. He connected during IO's stream him and Matas for like PP is the go. I mean, bro, like if you're getting that, man, like I would not. He might not be the most smart person, but just the fact that you got the players to respect this guy, and they very clearly like him. Like that in itself is doing a lot of the work just to get the connection with these players, and that's a lot to just give up and just be like, yeah, we're done with you. That's crazy to me. AK preaches continuity, but got rid of the coach who improved the team's shooting. I mean, I think he preaches continuity for the players mostly, but it is very funny, right? Honestly, though, I think you can make the argument that him bringing in Patton was not continuity, and so maybe he's like, oh shit, I didn't stick to my continuity idea. We gotta get rid of him. So maybe that was the plan. What we had with Yakuchonis? I'm a little bit less harsh on him right now. Like, if we end up with Yakuchonis, like, if it was 2 weeks ago, I'd be like, oh my god, I'd be pretty upset. Now, with where things are kind of heading, like, if we end up with Yakuchonis, I'm like, okay, it's not who I would have picked, I'm assuming would be available at the time, but I'm gonna hope that there's a good plan to really help develop him and get his turnover rate down, and hopefully he somehow shows he could be a better defender. But I would look at him as like a very serious project, and that's kind of like a big concern for me. And I don't really understand the upside with him being a major project, but obviously I'll root for him and hope that he can figure it out. I guess right now, if you're wondering, like, I'd be not thrilled at all. I'd be pretty upset by it, but I'd be like, okay, well, let's just hope he shows out here and proves me wrong. But I'd be questioning AK heavily then, because if they draft Yakuchonis, then it's like, holy crap, are you just going the Lithuania route and also the the Illinois route, which is you only draft guys that have some sort of connection to Illinois? Like, that really makes me feel like you're just drafting guys based off of who can get the most fans to come out and watch. That's horrible. I'm gonna really be questioning then his draft process if that's what if he does draft Yakuchonis. But again, I'm gonna root for him. Who do you think the fall candidates for this term? What is that? Are you asking who do I think are the potential candidates to fall in this draft, Noel? I mean, it does, yeah, okay. So it seems like Bailey could fall here. I'm not saying he's gonna make it to 12, but I'm just saying that he's not gonna go like, a lot of people thought he was gonna go top 5. Like, he canceled the workout with the 76ers. He basically denied the workout with the Utah Jazz. So, like, if there is a candidate to fall, it would be Bailey. Now, I don't think he makes it to the Bulls, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't think he's going to make it to the Bulls. But, like, if he fell to, like, 9th, that'd be pretty astounding from everything that we kind of were thinking about him heading into the draft. After that, though, I mean, my only guy that I could kind of think of that might fall would be Knipple, because I think some people are just kind of looking at him as just like, oh, like, what, are you more going to be like are you actually going to become like a Desmond Bain that, like, people think you can become, but are you just going to be more like just a shooter, like not saying he's going to be like JJ Redick, but like more closer to JJ Redick than compared to what we maybe thought for you. But I don't honestly know. I mean, hell, Bailey's now listed at 7th in this mock draft, so I don't know. I honestly don't know, man. It could honestly get really weird here. But if I had to guess, it'd be Bailey is probably the biggest guy to fall just from what we're hearing. Excuse me. I mean, I'm gonna assume Malak does go in the top 10 because a lot of people really like him. But yeah, I don't know. If I had to choose one, I guess it'd be Bailey, but he wouldn't fall to the Bulls here. In terms of anybody falling to the Bulls, I mean, I'd be shocked if Trey Johnson fell to the Bulls. But if Trey Johnson falls to the Bulls, I'd be so happy if he fell to the Bulls. But I doubt he does. Same thing with Jeremiah Fears. I mean, if Jeremiah Fears falls to the Bulls, I'd be flat out ecstatic. But it's probably not gonna happen. So that's the reason I just say Knipple. But I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say if Demon falls to 12, like, I don't know if that's really a fall, if that makes any sense. But I guess it just kind of matters what your board is. personally. Happy with Newell and Asenge if he falls to us. Most other players I'd just be okay with, yeah. If Asenge does fall to us, which I know like the last couple of games for Asenge have not been that great from him, but again, if I look at a guy as a project, if I see the upside, like, hey, that's one thing. But if I look at a guy that doesn't have that much upside, but he's a pretty big project, and I don't really get why you draft him, Asenge, like, yeah, he's gonna have to do a lot of work to kind of get what he can potentially become. But I do think that his upside is way high. So yeah, if Asenge is there, oh my god, I'd be thrilled. And you have to take him then. But I'm assuming he's not going to be there because I do think like Toronto or Houston's gonna potentially pick him here. Maybe it's Portland. So yeah, if he's not there, then I think Newell's good. I'm very happy with Newell then. I also, again, I've given you my 5, but if Sorber's there, if you take Sorber, I'm also fine with it. I'd be a little less happy compared to compared to Newell. Like, I'd be happy if you took Newell, but I'd be content if you took Sorber. Carter Bryant, I'd be a little bit less thrilled, but I think it's still much higher on my list of guys I'd take compared to others. And then if Malawak is there, then obviously I'd be fine with if you take him there as well. But again, like Yaku Chonas, I'm a little bit concerned about. Queen is someone I'm not a big fan of still. I know Viper Strike and I have talked about him a little bit, but I'm still not a big fan of him. So yeah, I know there's a chance of CMB getting picked here. I seriously don't think he's gonna get picked, but I know there's a chance. I'd be pretty upset if he gets picked here, but I guess it'd make a little bit more sense to me compared to Queen, but I don't love either pick. Just don't pick Cedric Coward. Don't pick Drake Powell, please. Like don't take those guys that are just like, why do it? Like, this is just guys that should 100% be going late first round or early second round. We don't need to pick those guys. Just be smart, man. We can kind of, like, there's not that really big of a bar here for AK, at least in my opinion, but he'll find a way maybe to mess it up at the end of the day. Queen's free throw numbers made me feel better on him. Still not happy. I wouldn't hate it. I gotcha. I'm still, I don't have much faith in him, unfortunately. I'm still on the Queen. I don't really feel too great about him, unfortunately, in the NBA. But I do have to listen to a podcast apparently that someone basically, I have to look back at the tweet, but I have to go listen to it, the podcast that they were referencing. But someone basically tweeted out, I don't remember who it was, I have to look for it, but they tweeted out that they listened to a podcast and they're like, in this podcast, in basically 30 minutes, this person convinced me that Asenge is bad and Queen should be the person that you 100% take. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's the case, then I need to go listen to that podcast, because I am very much on the complete opposite end of the spectrum of who I would personally choose. So, yeah. It does seem like Newell is the most likely option here, because we got word, obviously, he worked out for the Bulls. And he's like the one guy that seemed to be projected lottery, or in some mock drafts, he's been projected lottery. The other guys that we got word, and obviously we don't know who they've all worked out, but the other guys like Drake Powell, like, he's late first round. So I'm gonna be pretty pissed if we pick Drake Powell, but I wouldn't be shocked if that does happen. I'd be happy with Sorber and Newell. I'd be pretty happy with either of those guys. Yeah. Sorber would have had a Newell for me. I like Sorber's defensive upside a bit better. I can understand that. I do think Sorber's gonna be the better shot blocker compared to those two. I just personally, I like the versatility type of center where he can block shots. Not obviously as great as Sorber would, but I really like the fact that I think Newell could be a guy that can switch, or you can run multiple pick and roll coverages with him. So that's just personally what I value, right? But that's preference at the end of the day. Been higher Sorber too. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, if they pick Sorber, I'd be perfectly fine. I read they worked out Carter Bryant and Danny Wolf. Oh, did they actually work out Carter Bryant? Did not know that. That's my bad. I did hear about Danny Wolf. Yeah. Not the biggest fan of Danny Wolf personally, but I guess if I had to rank that, I'd be, I don't know, honestly. Would I? would I be okay if Danny Wolf was picked over a guy like Drake Powell? I definitely pick Danny Wolf. If they pick Danny Wolf over Coward, like I would pick Danny Wolf over Coward personally. So I would very much like I'm staying away from Coward at all costs right now. If Coward falls to the second round for us, then yeah, we'll pick him, sure. But we're not lottery first round. There's no shot. If they pick Danny Wolf over Drake Powell, I guess I'd be okay with it. I don't love it either, though. Yeah, I mean, I have my guys that I'm just like, I feel you shouldn't be able to screw this up, but they'll find a way to screw it up. I'm out. By the way, I'm out on Nick Clifford. Don't like Nick Clifford. McNeely is a little bit more interesting to me now, but I'm again, I still like the big men up there more. But even McNeely is not projected to go late first round, so I don't think it's just not worth it, man. So look, if the Bulls do end up trading back, sure, like then a lot of things open up at that point, and like if you gotta get an extra first round pick out of it, sure. But if they're staying at 12, I've gave you my guys at this point. Yeah, Carter Bryant again. I'd be okay if they draft Carter Bryant. I know that he's now he's fallen a little bit, but I'd be okay. I see enough reasons to draft Carter Bryant that again he wouldn't be my first 3 picks, but I can live with Carter Bryant being the pick, and I can definitely understand that. What do you think of Broom for a second? Man, bro, I don't really like it. I have seen that. Oh, sorry, Broom, excuse me. I have seen that like people were talking about Broom, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. I do worry about him. Lack of athleticism, right? Lack of verticality, but unfortunately in the second round it is just such a crapshoot because they're all like seniors in the second round, and we have less guys, declaring for the draft that are younger. So it's kind of just like, it is kind of a crapshoot. So like, I'm not gonna be like too critical if they choose Broom. The problem is though, is like, as much as I say like I'm not like the biggest fan of Broom, the problem is just I don't really love any of these second round picks. Hence why they're second round picks. So yeah, I'm not thrilled. I wouldn't be thrilled with Broom, but I'm not really thrilled with anybody right now in the second round. I've done a little bit of, I know I promised I was going to do second round scouting. I have not done too much of it, but I have done a little bit. So yeah, hey, Kobe Brea is interesting enough for me that I'm like, hey, if the Bulls pick him, sure. RJ Lewis is meh. I'm forgetting somebody that I did, or is it Sion James? I don't know how to say his name, but is it this guy? Yeah, this guy. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, if he, I'd be okay if I hope I'm saying it right. It's Sion or James here. Like, I'd be okay if the Bulls picked him. Not thrilled by it by any means, but I'm just like, hey, I can understand it. What do you think? Sorry, I heard someone comparing to Taj Gibson. He could be a similar impact. Oh God, Taj Gibson, really? I disagree with that statement. I think they play completely differently. That's a big difference, at least in my book. But people know more than me, so I think you should trust the people that if you think that those people that said that, if you think that they know more than me, then you should trust them. I'm not the person for that. I think Carter Bryant's better than Drake Powell. I would agree. Yeah, I know that Carter Bryant is like, his numbers are also kind of like, he's not as productive, right? Like it's kind of similar to how Drake Powell also isn't that productive overall in terms of like the box score. But I do think Carter Bryant is a much better pick over Drake Powell. The upside for Carter Bryant is a lot more, at least in my head, and I also think he's just better defensively. So I would pick Carter Bryant. Now I understand Powell is more athletic, but I see some parts of Powell's game that I'm very concerned about. In terms of like translations to the NBA, where I'm like, I don't necessarily know if your athleticism can fix that. Obviously there's the mental part where it just seems that he disappears, but there's also parts of Powell's game which maybe he can find a way to fix. But when he drives, bro, like it's slow. When he tries to like get to the rim with the basketball, like he's very good going laterally, but then when he goes like from like north to south and like trying to get to the rim, it's a little slow for him. And it's not like he's like the biggest guy in the world, but again, he has the highest vertical of this combine. So, you know, a lot of people are just like, well, why does it matter? But I'm not buying it. I've seen people that, yeah, you can be the most athletic person ever, but you gotta have the quick first step also to kind of pair that alongside of your athleticism to make it really work. And I don't think Powell has that, at least for now. So, there's things, you know, that just kind of, I'm like, yikes. Markovic, by the way, this guy right here, Markovic, here's something that I've been kind of considering that I don't necessarily know what you guys would think about, but right now, because of where the Bulls are with their current roster, we are in kind of a bind, right? Because we don't really have like roster spots. Obviously there's the cap stuff, but we talked about the cap stuff already. But let's just go ahead. Sorry, this was me typing in. Oh God, whoops. This is me typing in a number for Jonathan Kuminga here. But let's just go ahead and look at this for 1 second, because it's a good reminder for us, all of us right now, that again, we're looking at this year, 25-26. Just go obviously by the just pure numbers here. Assuming THT is the guy that is going to be left off, I'd be shocked if it's anybody else, but who knows. But THT is the free agent, so he's probably just going to be gone. So his roster spot's going to be replaced with whoever the Bulls draft at number 12. Okay? Or, you know, if they have some other, you know, draft pick, if they decide to trade back or up, whatever it is. The problem is then, assuming you re-sign Josh Giddey, which I just have it here as $30 million for now. I don't think he gets it, but I'm just leaving it here for now. That means, though, that if you take away Trey Jones for right now, that means you have basically one roster spot open, and it either goes to Trey Jones, who I think the Bulls should re-sign, or it goes to your second round pick. However, I do think that potentially doing a draft and stash is like legit not the worst idea right here for the Bulls. So I don't know what that means. You need to get someone from France, or if you need to, Markovic was a guy that he was kind of projected to go in the Bulls area, and I'm just like, yeah, if the Bulls draft him and just draft and stash him, that makes a lot of sense in my head, because of the Bulls' current situation with their roster. Because if they have so many guys on their roster that if you use both your picks for a roster spot, then you're not bringing back Trey Jones, assuming you don't trade anybody else, right? So that, again, you're not trading Lonzo Ball for no players in return, or you're not getting rid of Javon Carter's contract or something like that, or, me personally, I'm keeping Julian Phillips. If you want to get rid of Dalen Terry, sure, but I would personally keep Julian Phillips right now. But hey, maybe you get rid of Dalen Terry. But either way, right? You're looking at roster spots being at a very limited amount. So if you're planning to bring back Trey Jones, and assuming the 12th overall pick takes THT's spot, then you're out of roster spots if you don't trade anybody else. So that's why I'm just like, I wouldn't be shocked if the Bulls do a draft and stash here, which I think is fine if they do that. However, because it's AK and it's the Bulls, I am going to be livid as hell if they decide to sell the pick for like $3.5 million like they did with Jordan Bell. Please, for the love of God, do not sell this pick, okay? You have a very limited second round pick pool right now. So if you're going to instead trade this pick for 2 second round picks down the road, that's fine. If you're going to use this pick for a draft and stash, that's fine, okay? However, please, for the love of God, do not use this pick to just sell for money and sell it for $3.5 million. Please use it in some sort of way, okay? Whether it's you, again, if you decide like, hey, we're not gonna use the second round pick this year, but we need a pick next season in the second round. We'll call another team, and maybe there's someone back here that has a pick back here, wants to move up forward in the second round. They'll give us another second round pick for next season. Fine, I'm perfectly fine with that. But you just do not just sell it, okay? There is much more value than just getting a bunch of money for the second round pick, please. So either draft somebody or trade it for actual other second round picks, okay? Or maybe you're trade it alongside Dalen Terry for a player or something like that. That's fine. But use it for actual value and not actual financial reasons, please, for the love of God. I am very concerned because this this ownership is they just care about money. So if they can find any way possible to get some money, then they'll find a way. So please just don't sell it. That's all I care about. My favorite was Paolo's comps being Patrick Williams is Isaac Core. Forget it from where. I think it was from Hoops Rumors. I have to look at that though. God, I always mess it up. Is it Boo Boo Baba? I'm so sorry. I know you've been here before. I've butchered your name a million times. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I also did read that, and I won't lie, bro. It looks very similar. To people. Carter looks like a dog defensively from some highlights I've seen. Carter Bryant defensively is very good. The reasons why, Boo Boo Baba. Okay, got it. Thank you. The reason why I'm higher on Carter Bryant than someone like Drake Powell is because Carter Bryant, and especially like the half court, or sorry, in transition, like he's explosive in transition. Like if he gets up and goes up for an alley-oop or tries to finish. And then in the half court, his 3-point shot, he doesn't seem to hesitate. He's very much, he understands his role of like, okay, if I'm open, I shoot the 3-point shot. Again, he doesn't dribble a lot, but I feel like that's something that's gonna have to come down the road. So either way, I feel like I'm getting a guy that can play the 3 or 4, guard multiple positions, and ideally shoot a 3-point shot at a high level. So yeah, I can, but then obviously the upside is that if he ever develops, his dribbling ability, or he ever develops the ability to post up or something like that, or run the pick and roll like that, all of a sudden like that, you're looking at a very, very, very good player then. So the upside is absolutely there, and he has the explosiveness to kind of give you some of that upside idea. So I'm all for Carter Bryant. Big R also has bigger measurables. I don't think he's worth 12, but what do I know? So Bryant is taller than Powell, but I don't think he has the bigger wingspan. Then Powell, I think Powell had the bigger wingspan, if I'm not mistaken. I have to double check this though. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I think unless I skipped over Bryant. Yeah, so Drake Powell had the bigger wingspan. Obviously Carter Bryant is taller, right? Carter Bryant just going off the. Oh, I shouldn't have done that crap. Let's just go back here. So going off the height, right? Carter Bryant is an inch taller. Excuse me. Stating reach, Carter Bryant's again taller, but the wingspan goes to Drake Powell. Drake Powell also then he had the highest vertical, right, of the comment, but Carter Bryant obviously has a very insane vertical. So, yes, Powell had some more better measurements, but I think with Bryant being taller and having, at least in my opinion, a better game, I think he's the better pick between the two. Sorry, let me get chat back on main monitor here. Drafted stats, Rookie Zakarski, the Aussie 18-year-old. That's huge. I mean, yeah, I'd be all for that. If they draft and stats Rocco, like, sure. Yeah, I'd be good with that. Was sign them to a two-way be an option? Yes. So you can use your second round pick and sign them to a two-way contract. The problem is though with that, it's just like you can just kind of like, I guess if you really like the guy, sure, like go ahead and do that. My only thing is though is that second round picks, they get to negotiate. And I feel like a lot of second round picks, especially if you're going 46 overall, like I feel like you kind of want an NBA contract. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I feel like their agent's gonna really push for one. If you're able to convince them to take a two-way, that's fantastic. But you then also kind of run the risk of just like, well, you'll have him in restricted free agency, but then like you don't lock him into like a 4-year, minimum contract then right off the bat. So there's just pros and cons to both ways. I just feel like a lot of second round picks, they want to try to get the NBA contract. So I kind of find it hard to, like if you're not going like the late 50s, then I'm like, I feel you can kind of fight for an NBA contract pretty well. But I could be wrong here. Ideally, I would just sign you to a two-way. That'd be great. Okay. How are you on the Bulls trajectory with cap flexibility, etc.? What do you mean, how am I? Is that a question of like, am I feeling good about it? Like, how do I feel about it? Or is that a question of like, how much do you know and what are we looking at? Like, how much can you tell me? How am I feeling? Okay. So, in terms of the Bulls cap flexibility, in the 2026-2027, okay, so we'll look at this really quickly. How I feel, okay. So, let's look at this, right? So, this is where the Bulls cap flexibility for next season is going to come in. Obviously, this season, the Bulls have no cap space, okay? Assuming you're going to re-sign Josh Giddey, you have no cap space this offseason. So, you're working over the salary cap. There's not really a lot of room, even before you hit the luxury tax. As you can see here, if you add $30 million contract from Josh Giddey, okay, and this calculation here, this includes these numbers, and these are the correct numbers for the draft picks, then you only have $15 million below the tax, okay? So this season's kind of chalk. But in terms of then the following season, right? I need to open Spot Track to explain this, but it obviously gives the Bull, like, you kind of have some, like, good overall cap flexibility for the Bulls. However, you could find a way if you're the Bulls to just get rid of this very quickly, and that's a problem. Let me show you why. So, this year, okay, biggest contract on the books is Patrick Williams. We just have to eat it. Don't worry about that. This season, when we're looking at for the Bulls, no Kobe White, no Ayo Dosunmu, no Kevin Huerter, no Zach Collins. I'm going to pray to God they don't sign Vooch to a contract extension, but it could happen. Javon Carter officially then comes off, okay? Now, the problem here when it comes to this sort of stuff, if you're looking to re-sign Kobe White, this cap hold is against the salary. It goes against the salary cap, right? So, if Josh Giddey gets this $30 million that people think that he's going to get, I don't think he's going to get it, but let's say he does get it, okay? Add in all the money, including the picks from this season, and I have not included the picks from next season, but we don't know where they're going to land in the draft, so I didn't include that yet. But add up all the money that we all know of as of right now for the next season, including then Josh Giddey's projected $30 million, then the Bulls have $83 million in cap space, okay? Now, that they only get this cap space again if they get rid of all their cap holds here. And that's kind of the reason why I'm a little bit less like encouraged by it, because it's like, yeah, that's nice, but that means then, you know, you're not going to be bringing any of these guys back, right? That means Kobe White's gone. And Kobe White's going to hit unrestricted free agency no matter what, but you know, that basically, if you want all that cap space, you have to then give up your rights to Kobe White, and that means you're not going to be able to sign and trade him. So I don't love that overall. I do think Ayo's probably going to get an extension here, so we can just kind of factor in that money. But either way, though, it's just like there's a lot of money coming off the books, but you have to keep in mind that you have to release all these cap holds to get this money. So if you're a Kevin Huerter fan, for example, like, if you really like the Bulls, if you really like Kevin Huerter, then the Bulls, you know, if they're going to try to keep him around, but if they decide to keep him around, then this $27 million cap hold is on the books for them until they sign him to a new contract. So, and we don't know when that could happen. Like, they could sign they could sign immediately, or they could sign much later down the road. So it's a whole process of just like, who are you going to keep? And who you want to give up in free agency. If it was up to me, I am just, first and foremost, I'm trading Kobe. But let's say we can't do that, then I am signing Ayo to an extension this upcoming year. And then I am letting everyone else go that is a free agent, pretty much. And just like getting all the money off the books. And that includes Kobe. Excuse me. I would keep Kobe's cap hold, but everyone else can come off the books. Okay. That would then lower this number. It matters how much the Ayo extension is, but this would lower it down to like 50 million ish, around there. And that's automatically, you can just kind of see like, oh crap, like we went from 83 million to now we're down to 50 million. And hell, if you take away this Giddey contract, it's like we're looking at like 110 million, right? So it's not as amazing as it sounds. However, I do think that even if we only have, let's say, $50 million in cap space, I do think that the Bulls have a prime opportunity to use it for assets, okay? Whether that is them taking a bad contract for a draft and also get a draft pick in compensation, or you look to try to maybe use your cap space a little bit early and you try to give out expirings, right? So like Kevin Huerter or Zach Collins now, and you're willing to take back a longer contract now, but you also get a pick in compensation now. Like, that's kind of where I'm looking at. In terms of free agency, I don't think the Bulls are ever going to be a big player in free agency. Maybe they'll sign a pretty good guy, but I don't really think in free agency is going to really do anything for you. But I hope the Bulls can use the cap space in terms of getting assets, right? Take on money that a team needs to get off and get some assets for it back. If they can do that, I'll feel a lot better about the Bulls then. If they can actively use their cap space to gain them assets, whether that's them signing free agents that are good and then trading them, or sign free agents that just help the team, or you use you use your cap space to take on contracts to gain you assets, right? Whatever way it is, I would feel a lot better about this Bulls team. However, though, again, it's not like it's an extreme amount. I know a lot of people talk like, oh my god, we can have like 80 million or even 110 million. Well, the Giddey contract's gonna cut into that immediately. And again, cap holds matter. So if you really want to keep Kobe White, that cap hold has to stay. That eats into the salary cap space. So I just don't. I'm not that like as optimistic as some people think. Is like if let's say for example, if I didn't have to worry about the Kobe White free agency, but I knew I had $80+ million in cap space, I'd feel incredible right now. Like I already have like Buzelis and Giddey's contracts done and everything, and I don't have to worry about Kobe White. You know, we're just losing for nothing in free agency. I feel fantastic. We don't have that though, right? So yeah, I've been really concerned about how this Bulls team's gonna just kind of maybe eat up all the cap space without even knowing it, and suddenly we don't have any cap space heading into the 2026 offseason. So, the way I would describe how I feel about it, Noel, is that I am very cautiously optimistic because I see it as a way the Bulls can really add to their asset pool. However, though, this is talking about we have not obviously drafted the guys that we're going to draft this upcoming draft. We have not potentially signed guys to extensions, and we have also not made any trades yet that could affect the 2026 salary cap space. So I'm cautiously optimistic they're not going to just like randomly give out a bad extension here, but I don't know. That's like my only big concern. That I'm just like, they might just eat into it just stupidly and not even try to use their salary cap space because, yeah, why would they? Because they don't care about it. Do you think we could get a mid first round pick for Giddey, like sign and trade Josh Giddey for a mid first round pick? No, I don't think you could. Again, Giddey's a free agent, so I personally do not think you'd be able to do that right now. Now, if you're asking if we are able to sign him to a contract that's in a decent amount of money, that's fair for both sides, and then we look to trade him, like let's say he gets paid like $22 million a year or something like that, like then we look to trade him, maybe. But in terms of a sign and trade possibility, no, there's no shot because we don't have the leverage then. You're not gonna get a first round pick for a guy that's a current free agent, even though he is restricted. Is Santi Aldama a realistic free agent option? I think he could be, but the problem is the lack of space before the tax. That's my biggest problem. So I don't necessarily know what that means. Now, could it mean a Lonzo Ball for Santi Aldama sign and trade? Maybe. I'd be all for it. But in terms of just straight up signing him away from Memphis, he is a restricted free agent. I don't think it's very possible just because I don't think the Bulls are going to use their entire mid-level exception right now. But thinking having the cap flexibility cost the first round pick to the team in tax with how CBA works, does that make sense? What do you mean, Noel? I don't understand what you're saying. Are you saying that if you're the Bulls, you can use your cap flexibility to like go to a team in the tax and say, hey, we can get you out of the tax, if you send us this player and give us a first round pick as well. Like, is that what you're saying? Correct. Okay. So I can definitely see a world where maybe some teams that is the case, and then I am with you that the Bulls should be looking for that, right? That is 100% what I think the Bulls should be looking for. Now, I don't necessarily know if it means that every team is going to be willing to do such a thing, but I do think that some teams will be willing to do it. So that would be something that I would hope the Bulls would actively go and see. In terms of the other teams, like, I don't know if you're going to be able to get a first round pick out of it, but like maybe you can get like 3 second rounders or 4 second rounders, right? Like, that's like, as much as people don't understand, like, I understand like people don't value second rounders as much, but like, if I could take on a bad contract and give me like 3 second round picks, like, yeah, that's I do it. You know, assuming it's not like a $50 million contract, but you know, if you're like, hey, we need to get rid of this like $15 million or something, and you know the player is at least like kind of playable, and you give me like 3 second round picks, then yeah, like, sure, that's something that I'd definitely be looking for. Yeah, it's, again, you have to plan for stuff like that, or you got to plan on using your cap space to sign free agents, and then either use those free agents and actually build with them, or you need to sign those free agents and use them as trades, right? Like, teams, good teams, what they do is that they sign a free agent and they understand that they're probably not going to be there for long, but they then use them as trades, right? So just do something similar if you want to do that. Like, all the teams are spending like crazy. Yes, the problem is, though, is that some of those teams don't have draft assets, right? Like, for example, Denver. Like, if you're going to tell me that the Denver Nuggets, like, they don't have any first-round picks to give up. So we should not be going to Denver and ask, like, hey, you need to get rid of Zeke Naji's contract. It's going to cost you a first. Like, they don't have any first to really give up. So, you know, if you can, I don't know how many seconds they have, but, like, if you could steal some seconds for them, then sure. Yeah, I'll take Zeke Naji for a couple of seconds. That makes a lot of sense to me. That wouldn't be my first thing I would go and do, but that would definitely be something I would consider for sure. So I can see Thunder's built for the CBA. Oh, 100%. Yeah. This Thunder team is set for, like, even if it wasn't this specific CBA, this Thunder team is in an amazing spot. Even if they lose this finals, they're perfectly fine. They're going to be fantastic. Not like the worst/cost will be a first round pick. I agree with you. That's what you should be looking for, right? But again, if it's not available necessarily, then, you know, I'm willing to go and look at other options. But I would take a chance on Jang from the Thunder. Young proper can't get PT for sure. I would definitely take a chance for sure. I guess that is the other thing that I'd be a little bit concerned about when it comes to the Bulls and free agency space. So, like, in the 2026 offseason, like, I don't want them to just use all their cap space on like a restricted free agent and like overpay them heavily just to steal them away from the team. Like, that's something I don't want to do. Like, I don't want to send like 35 million to a guy that doesn't deserve 35 million and be like, okay, we're gonna steal it from this team. But it's like, you paid him 35 million a year. Like, we don't need to do that. Okay. Am I willing to be a little bit more aggressive to restricted free agents? For sure, especially to like the teams that don't have a lot of money, that are very much trying to avoid like maybe the second apron or something like that. Then yeah, if they have a restricted free agent that's, you know, a key part of their team, but they can't really pay them, then yeah, I'd be okay using the money on them and try to steal them away. But we don't need to heavily overpay. That's like the one thing I'm like also really concerned about, because if then you do get that player, then you heavily overpaid for a player that didn't deserve that contract. So we gotta be smart. We just have to be very, very smart about it when it comes to the free agency, the cap space. Do not just randomly spend it badly. Do not just, you know, suddenly just get extensions, give out extensions or anything like that. But be smart. Sorry, I'm a little bit upset right now at YouTube because it keeps. All right, it should just stay on this song from now on. I don't know. I did this before, but it kept changing. So sorry. Supposed to be smart by not spending anything. Yeah, I agree. But I'm so the one extension I'm fine with is the IO extension because that's not gonna be that much money. Like you can't even give IO that much money anyway because again the CBA rules of 140% of the previous contract. He's not making that much money anyway. So it wouldn't be that much for IO. And honestly, because of his injury, like I wouldn't be mad if the Bulls threw him an extension like now because like he's injured and you know he's not necessarily in like the best place in terms of leverage right now. So it's just like, hey, here's guaranteed money. Like let's say it's like for 12 million a year. Like sure, like just go ahead and just send him that. I think he might be looking to accept it. But yeah, that's like the only guy though. Like don't extend Vucevic, don't extend Kevin Huerter. I am very much afraid that they're gonna extend Kevin Huerter. But we don't need to do that. And then obviously then come the free agency in this offseason, like don't just spend it badly. Like go and make the proper spending if you're gonna actually go spend it. But don't just like spend on just trying to just steal away restricted free agents. We don't need to do that. Sorry. Okay, yeah, now I remember. I was gonna pull up a tweet for you guys. So let me give you an example of what the Bulls could do here. That sorry, hold on. I'm trying to find it. So here's an example that it would eat into our cap space for the 2026-27 offseason. But it's like this is kind of how what I'm looking at. I'm like, hey, you are eating into it, but like you're gaining an asset because of it. I'm just throwing out ideas here. I'm not saying I would do this. I'm just kind of throwing this out to you guys just to show you, like, hey, maybe this might be something. I personally I'd be a little bit skeptical about this personal deal, but like I have seen it a little bit now. And I'm like, okay, quite interesting here. Sorry, what the fuck? Come on, I hate them going to this account. No. Where is it, bro? You know how many people, how many Bulls accounts on Twitter or X, I should say, like they're just so like they're just so clickbaity and like they get to those Bulls fans that think that like every player on this team is like amazing, and then every other player that is actually good for the other squads, like apparently that squad doesn't need them. Like it bothers the crap out of me. And honestly, I might not. Oh god, I'm gonna show you this just because it is something just to consider. But I am like a little bit annoyed with just how much that I've been seeing stuff from this. But this has been getting rounds on Bulls Twitter today. And it's from Blazers Lead. Now, if you follow the Bulls Lead account, that guy, I don't know who that guy is. I actually have a way to actually contact him that is not on Twitter, and you have no idea how much I try to avoid this person. But anyway, they're a nutcase. But this just suddenly got a lot of just rounds on the Bulls Twitter feed, and I'm just like, I look at this and I kind of debate back and forth. In the end, I probably don't do it. But I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on this. Do you think we can get Naz Reid this offseason? I mean, it'd be a hell of a sign-in trade to try to pull off, but it'd be very difficult to do. I think it's a pretty low chance you get Naz Reid. They said Magic had point guard and three-point shooting problems. If they traded Kobe instead of Bay, they could have fixed that in one trade. Woodage, I disagree with the point guard problem. I think that for the Magic, they made the perfect trade. In terms of fit, they made the perfect trade. Desmond Bane is basically everything that they needed. They need a guy that can work off Banchero and Wagner, because those are the two guys who have the ball in their hands the most. Okay, so you need a guy that can work off Banchero and Wagner, but then also handle the ball pretty well. And Desmond Bane's a pretty underrated ball handler. He does a really good job in terms of actually ball handling and actually finding guys. Also, like he's actually like pretty underrated as like a play initiator. So like the Magic did need a little bit of that, but like they didn't need a lot of it. But you got that with Bane. You then also got a guy that is pretty solid defensively. He averages a steal per game basically his entire career. He's also a much better three-point shooter than Kobe White is, and a better scorer consistently throughout his career. I know the point difference was different this year, where Kobe averaged more points, but I think Bane has consistently shown he's a better overall scorer so far in his career. Bane is also just a guy that is better off ball. I think Kobe does need the ball in his hands more to be effective. Bane doesn't have to be that. Like he can straight up just be the sniper that's off ball. Oh, sorry, hit something. For the Magic, like Desmond Bane doesn't need the ball at all times. So I personally disagree that like Kobe would have fixed all their problems. I think Bane was like genuinely like the best player they could have gotten. Now they did give up a lot for him. Sorry about the ad that's playing. I sincerely do apologize about this. But I think Bane was the better decision overall. I would have loved if the Magic went after Kobe and give us a first, but one, I don't think you get a first, but two, I think Bane is the proper decision because he is locked up for 4 years. Kobe is an unrestricted free agent after next season. Like, if you're in the Magic, you're not going to give up that many assets for a guy that's going to be unrestricted free agent. So, you instead trade for a guy that is locked up for 4 more years, and you give up 4 first-round picks for it. Makes sense to me. So, overall, I think the Magic did everything right in terms of overall fit, and the assets that they decide to give up, it does seem like a lot, but I think if it's the perfect fit, it might not matter at the end of the day. Magic also had to make a move because their salary cap situation is going to get pretty bad pretty soon here. So they had to make a move like this, honestly. And I applaud them for it. I did not think they had the balls to do such a move, but they did a hell of a job. Also, again, just about the point guard thing. Jalen Suggs is their point guard. He's been their point guard, and he's fine. He's fine as their point guard, but again, the ball is going to be mostly in Banchero and Wagner's hand. So it's like you don't really need a point guard for the Magic because the ball's going to be in those two forwards' hands. It's similar to how Boston runs, where the ball is in Tatum and Brown's hands. Drew Holiday's the point guard, but like he doesn't really, play initiate that often for Boston. Okay. Jalen Suggs is very similar to kind of how Drew Holiday plays, where he can play initiate at times, but he's a hell of a defender. He's not maybe the best three-point shooter like how Drew Holiday it was or is still. But Suggs can definitely handle the ball good enough to be that play initiator if needed. I don't think the Magic need a point guard. I think they're perfectly fine without, actively seeking a guy to be a guard ball handler. Desmond Bane, to me, is perfect for them. I think that getting Desmond Bane to fix your three-point shooting, but then also as a guy that doesn't need the ball, I think it's good. I think they're fine. Kobe needs the ball a little bit more than Desmond Bane to be effective. He's also a worse defender, and again, has to get paid after next season. Could just leave. So, I think it's just better decisions by Magic at the end of the day. People with Jeremy Grant, if the Blazers do that, they're insane. That's not gonna happen. Aiden Vucevic super awesome defensively, yeah. So here's this trade. Let's get to this trade, okay? Now, let's talk about why the Blazers would do this. The Blazers have been begging right now to get DeAndre Ayton off their books. Ayton is getting paid a ton of money, right? But it's just like, hey, let's just get him off the books this season. It would help us clear out a lot of space right now. And in return, it's like, okay, you're trading for the Blazers. You're trading for 2 guys that are also on expiring deals, but you get your pick back so that you actually have full control of your draft again. Because right now, if you're wondering, the Blazers, like this whole thing with the Blazers right now, like, yes, maybe the pick doesn't convey to the Bulls. The thing is, though, for the Blazers is that they cannot trade any of these picks that have any sort of connection to this Bulls pick, right? So, for example, like, they can't trade their 2026 pick. They have all their picks, but because this lottery protection goes through 2027 or 2028, whatever it is, they can't trade any of those picks leading up to that pick. So they're kind of like in jail by themselves for this whole Bulls pick thing. So they're just like, hey, let's get control of our draft again. We'll give up our number 11 pick now. And so the Bulls will then have the 11th and 12th pick in this draft, and we'll then get our own pick back and get full control of our draft. So that's the reason why the Blazers would do it. If you're the Bulls, why would you do this? You're taking on Ayton for this season only. My only thing of why I said that I think they might have to take on more money for like later down the road is just like I feel like if you're the Blazers, you might have to give up a little bit more. In terms of like it kind of feels like, at least in my opinion, I won't lie, like I kind of feel like the Bulls might be getting away with a little too much here. Of like, hey, we get the 11th overall pick as well, and we just have to give up the pick that we currently have from you guys that might not even convey. But that might mean that the Bulls take out a little bit of extra salary. The only reason why I wouldn't do this is because if I'm the Bulls, let's just say for example here, Ayton obviously is just this humongous, like his contract's humongous, but it's only for this year, thank God. Adding on any extra money that I think could potentially be added to this deal would be a little bit of an issue. The only thing though about this deal that I'm just a little bit like meh on is I kind of feel like this Blazers pick will convey at some point, and I know it's like, oh well, it's 11th pick versus a pick that's not in the lottery, but I kind of feel like it's going to convey at some point here. And I'm just like, I don't know if we really necessarily need the move. The other reason why I might not do this is just because, like, Herter and Collins' contracts, like, if you do find some sort of deal here where you could potentially add on some long-term salary, but that you get like a pick out of it, and maybe a little bit more than what you're seeing from the Blazers, it's just like you have salaries that are a little bit more maneuverable. But if this is the only deal that you can really find and you get the 11th overall pick out of it, I mean, it is kind of hard to pass up here. I still, right now, I'd say probably no, and I would just kind of look around for maybe some other options here. But I don't know, man. It is interesting. I don't think I'm trading that Portland 2026 picks. Remember, though, the Portland pick is ladder protected. That's the reason why we haven't been able to get this. Like we should have, like, this pick has been with us for such a long time because it never conveys. So it goes through 2028. Right, but it basically is. It's if Portland doesn't make the playoffs, then we will never get it. Okay, then all of a sudden it would then become a second round pick in 2028. So that's the reason why it's like, holy shit, is this ever going to convey? Right, in my head, I think it will convey. But I know some people just think that, no, it will never convey. So if you instead just want to get the draft asset now from Portland and get the 11th overall pick, and you'll just take on Ayton's big contract for this season only, then sure. Like, I can understand the argument. I just kind of think that it will convey. And then in my own head, right, I'm like, I think it will convey, which means that we'll get a first round pick. But then I might be able to use the Collins and Herter contracts to get another pick out of it instead, or I just don't, I don't use them at all, but I keep the cap space and hopefully get a first round pick out of it as well. So either way, I can understand both arguments. For me, I'd be okay standing pat, and just kind of just letting it ride out. Also, I mean, roster construction would be an absolute hellhole, but it would be interesting just kind of think about. Maybe depending on how the draft falls. So I don't think having 11 and 12 is better than 12 and 2 first next year. I would agree with that as well. I do think this draft is also kind of a crapshoot. Yeah, I would also agree with that. So, like, just having 2 first round picks, wherever they are next draft, might just be better. Bulls could possibly draft Sorber and Newell and back-to-back picks if they do this trade. If they think that both those players are the best players there, then sure. I just don't know how both of them play, but yeah. Baha and Sorber, interesting. Okay. Yeah. Ayton only has one year left, so like it would only just be a 1 year thing. Now my only thing is just like, do they have to like add in anything else? Which actually I'm looking at right now. Like I thought Matisse Thybulle was actually on the books, but I guess he's not. So I guess they wouldn't have to add anything else then, to make this kind of like a little more even in a sense. But we'll see. When is this current draft get iffy in terms of best players to draft? I would argue that even at number 4, it's like you can make an argument for a lot of people. So yeah, like honestly, to me right now, from what I'm hearing and from my own personal scouting, I think it's obviously it's Flag, and then it's Harper. Those are like the top two, and then I would personally pick Edgecombe at number 3. But then like after that, I mean, you can make an argument for a lot of guys. Like it could be Trey Johnson, it could be Knipple, it could be Ace Bailey. Like to me, it genuinely gets iffy like right after Edgecombe, and even for some people don't think that Edgecombe goes number 3. Some people have Trey Johnson going number 3. Yeah, like how Boo Boo Baba's saying right here, like it gets iffy after Dylan Harper, honestly. So I honestly do believe that this is a very, very iffy draft, like immediately. It kind of reminds me of previous draft, but it is kind of scary. But the Kings pick, if I remember correctly, are you talking like way back in like many years ago with the Kings pick? Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about the ones that the one we just got back in the Kings trade with the Spurs? Because I'm pretty sure the Bulls had a pick from the Kings that was just like the Deng deal. Okay, yeah, it was part of the Deng deal. Yeah. So that was part of the whole Deng to Cleveland deal, but we got Bynum back in that deal and we waived him immediately, which he was useless at the time. But yeah, that whole it is basically exactly that. Boo Boo Baba, like it is the exact same idea, where the pick never conveyed, and then because it never conveyed, we then got a second round pick out of it, and we then traded it for $3.5 million. It was Jordan Bell that got drafted with that pick by the Warriors. So yeah, that's how it worked out. So if you're wondering, the Bulls traded Luol Deng at that moment in time for $3.5 million, basically. Good job, Bulls. Yeah, fantastic. Yep. And yes, I am brain dead. I can just recite that, but that's my Bulls fandom. I can just recite just random BS that the Bulls have done. All right. Again, I think I just personally, at least for now, this could change for me, but at least for now, I would stand pat. I know Aiden only has 1 year left on this deal. I thought that the Blazers would have to like, add in like another contract or something, but honestly, when I look at it, like they don't really have anything else to add. They just want to get their rights to the pick back. They would give it the 11th. We would then give it Herter and Collins. I just think that at least in my opinion, I think the Blazers this pick would eventually convey at some point. And then I feel like I could use either Herter or Collins as like, hey, here's expirings, give us a long-term contract and we'll get a pick out of it, or we just don't use them for anything, just use them to get cap space and use that for another pick. That's the only reason why I'm just like, I don't know. Obviously if you get Aiden, then you can just argue that, well, then there's your cap space, right? But I don't know. I at least for now, I would just stand pat for the time being, but I can be convinced either way. I'll probably come back to this later. It is an interesting thought overall, I think. All right. Do we have let's see here. Let's go ahead. Do we have anything else we want to chat about on this channel when it comes to Bulls, around the league, NBA finals, stuff like that, draft, anything like that right now? Because I personally, once this stream ends, if you guys are interested, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna raid myself on my Twitch channel. It's my gaming channel, so I wanna do a Twitch stream tonight here. So if we are officially done here, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. But if we are not, I am more than willing to continue talking here, and talk about anything that you guys want to talk about. I'm gonna mute my mic for a second. All right. Couple of things before I do end stream here, and then I'm gonna raid my Twitch channel. So, if you're wondering if you want to continue watching me, so I'm gonna go ahead and raid myself here to my Twitch channel. So, here is the link to the Twitch channel. First thing we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be sorry, that is, hold on. that is not that. That should be it. Yeah, that is it. First thing we're gonna be doing is we're gonna see how lucky you're gonna be getting with the Pokemon pack here. I'm not the best with this, so bear with me. But we're gonna open a Pokemon pack here. That's the first thing we're gonna be doing. Then unfortunately I do not have like Valorant all fully set up right now. I'm still kind of working. I'm still trying to figure out how that's gonna work out for me. But I am gonna go ahead and do my 99 overall my career player from NBA 2K13. I'm gonna play that on my channel. So that's gonna be the plan here. How often do you stream on Twitch? It's not really a set schedule right now. I am just trying to just kind of start it up. So I'm hoping to do at least once a week, especially in the off season. But I can't really guarantee anything at the moment. But I'm looking to do a lot more of it. I think it's a lot of fun. So yeah, if you're interested in hopping on over to doing the Twitch stream, I would sincerely appreciate it. And we can still obviously talk about basketball there. But I do want to kind of do a little bit of gaming here and have some fun. Yeah, a couple other things before I do end stream. So first and foremost, if you've not already hit the like button on stream, please do. Helps me out a lot. Also, if you are a person that is interested in the draft watch party, so on Wednesday for the first round, NBA draft is going to be at 7 p.m. Central Time. I am going to do a draft watch party on this channel. So if you're interested in watching the NBA draft alongside with me, and you get to see my reaction, so obviously I won't have the draft up on screen, but if you want to watch the draft on your TV and then watch my reactions, I have my friend David is going to be with me. So if you're going to be interested in that, that is be on Wednesday on this channel. So we're going to be hosting a draft watch party on this channel for the entire first round. So if you're interested in that, please feel free to join in. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I honestly think it's going to be a really good time. So feel free to join in on that. Sorry, music is messing up here. Other thing too, if you have not already joined our Discord and are looking to join the Discord, we have the link here. Give me 1 second. So here's our community Discord for the time being. If you are looking to continue to catch up with content when it comes to me, or interested in just talking to me when not on stream, ask me any questions, or just talk basketball in general, this is the Discord server, so go ahead and feel free to join if you are interested. Other than that, though, I sincerely appreciate you guys tuning in to tonight's stream. We had a bunch of people just kind of hop in and chat, so I sincerely do appreciate it. So I will be definitely streaming on this channel Wednesday. I don't know about any time before that, but before Wednesday, I will be dropping a video. So be prepared for the video. If you have been here for my draft talk already, it's gonna probably be kind of saying the same thing that I've said on stream, but I want to make it into a video format. So if you don't want to watch it, I completely understand. But it is going to kind of be like my kind of who I'm looking for the Bulls to draft, and then a little bit of like my big board and potentially my mock draft. So that's going to be before Wednesday, and then obviously on Wednesday we are going to be doing the watch party. So I will be scheduling that on this channel for tomorrow, so you guys can be ready for it. So, all right, that's gonna do it for this stream, though. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're interested in watching me do the Twitch stream, that's the link in the chat right now. I'm gonna paste it again here. Thank you guys so much. I sincerely do appreciate you tuning in. It was a lot of fun talking to you guys, and I'll see you on the Twitch stream if you are interested. All right, y'all. Peace out. See ya.